our great pleasure tonight to have Dr. Thomas Steffen, State Secretary, Federal Ministry of Health, amongst us. In May 2019, Dr. Thomas Steffen was appointed as State Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Health, Germany. Since 2012, Dr. Steffen served as State Secretary at the Federal Ministry of Finance, working with Finance Minister Wolfgang Schäuble, responsible for international policy and macroeconomic affairs, financial market policy, and European policy. Prior to that, he, among other positions, was the Chief Executive Officer of the Insurance and Pension Fund Supervision and member of the Executive Board of the Federal Financial Supervisory Authority, known as BaFin. Dr. Steffen studied law and politics at the University of Mainz and at the University of Burgundy, Dijon, France. Jetzt auf Deutsch. Dr. Thomas Steffen übernahm am 15. Mai 2019 das Amt des Staatssekretärs im Bundesministerium für Gesundheit in Bonn, Berlin. Bereits vom Januar 2012 bis April 2018 diente er als Staatssekretär im Bundesministerium der Finanzen unter Finanzminister Wolfgang Schäuble. Er war dort zuständig für die Europa- und Währungspolitik, Finanzmärkte und Regulierung, internationale Zusammenarbeit sowie volkswirtschaftliche Grundsatzfragen. Dr. Steffen hat die europäische Staatsschuldenkrise mitgemanagt, nachdem er im Oktober 2010 als Abteilungsleiter für Europa von der Bundesanstalt für Finanzdienstleistungsaufsicht BaFin zum Bundesfinanzministerium gewechselt war. Sein Berufsleben begann Dr. Steffen 1990 in der industriepolitischen Abteilung des Bundesministeriums für Wirtschaft in Bonn. Er hat Rechts- und Staatswissenschaften in Mainz und an der Partneruniversität Dijon in Frankreich studiert. Es ist mir eine große Ehre, Herrn Dr. Thomas Steffen nun auf die Bühne zu bitten und anlässlich des Tags der Republik Indiens ein paar Worte an uns zu richten.
Ladies and gentlemen, let me first of all thank you for the very kind invitation to come to Frankfurt and to speak to you, and also celebrate your 71st anniversary of your constitution. It's a great pleasure and it's an honor to be with you tonight. And I carefully listened to what you just said, Consul General. You said India is a country with a lot of different languages, where you eat a lot of different food, so it's very, very similar to Germany. We also speak a lot of different regional dialects and languages, and we eat a lot of different food in Germany. So again, we are very closely together, India and Germany. So before I start my speech, I looked at last year's agenda. And maybe some of you remember what happened last year. Last year it was my colleague, the State Secretary in the Foreign Ministry in Berlin, giving his speech to you, Walter Lindner. And maybe some of you have seen what happened to him. He became the German ambassador in India, in Delhi. So, Consul General, let's see what will have happened to me in 1 year's time. Very, very happy to go to Delhi. I'm glad, and again, it's a great pleasure and honor for me to speak to you today. And first of all, I wish you a very, very happy Republic Day. It's a day to indeed reconfirm the commitment to liberty, fraternity, and equality among the Indian nation and society and all your citizens, but also our citizens. We as Germans, and I may bluntly say that, we very much admire the Indian culture and especially the democracy, and we are very impressed about the performance that you just presented to us, also the performance of your democracy during the general election last year, electing your 17th Lok Sabha, the Indian parliament. And this is, at least in my understanding, and I guess this is also what you presented to us, really by far the biggest election in the world. And we Germans, again, we admire the combination of efficiency and democracy that you presented to us. And India takes big steps, I'm very sure about that, into a bright future. And in my former job as the State Secretary in the Ministry of Finance in Berlin, I had a lot of contacts, very, very excellent contacts with my Indian colleagues, and we discussed 100 times the steps that you have taken in India and the steps that we have taken in Germany and in Europe to create jobs and to create growth and to foster growth for the prosperity of our countries. And I guess we can learn a lot from each other. We should really continue with that kind of exchange. For us today, and in my job as the State Secretary in the Ministry of Health, it's especially impressive to see your universal healthcare system in India. And again, I'm very sure we can learn a lot from each other. It's, in my view, a very well-balanced approach between very old traditions in India and the latest technology, really the latest technology. A good example is your Ministry of Ayush, the traditional Indian medicine, combining Ayurveda with modern evidence-based science. And our medicine is always based on evidence, but your combination, in my view, is really worth looking at and again, learning from each other. So one example is also, in that sense, the cooperation of the Frankfurt Innovation Center with the Indian government and the help of you, Consul General. So we signed the MOU during our productive government consultations in Delhi. And again, let me thank you very much for your support and for your helping hand in that regard. But, of course, it goes without saying, India is not a very old culture. It is also at the forefront of the, I've mentioned that, the newest and the latest technology, like artificial intelligence in the fields of medicine, agriculture, smart cities, and fintech. So this is an excellent basis, again, where we can further cooperate and exchange excellent ideas. And of course, what you are doing in India is very much based on your young and eager generation that you have in India, of very well-educated people, bright and full of new ideas. And again, we need some of these ideas in Germany. We need more encouragement, we need more efforts to bring things forward, and again we can learn from you in India. And we will shape not only your nation, but again, I'm very sure you will contribute to the well-being of many people in the world. So therefore, I hope that our two countries will intensify the cooperation and the exchange. We share the same values, you have mentioned that, the same beliefs in our times, and it's important that the rational part of the world will continue to strengthen multilateralism, international trade, and human rights. And I've never mentioned in the past that now is the time to really advocate, for example, multilateralism, and we should do that really together. And we have done that in the past. India, Germany, and many other nations, whenever, for example, we have met in the frame of the G20, and India was always a very, very reliable partner in the G20. We will meet again in April in Saudi Arabia, and I'm very much looking forward to again speak to my Indian colleagues in Saudi Arabia about the new challenges that we have on a global basis. And we have a lot of new challenges on a global basis. Just to mention the coronavirus, now on the global agenda with the World Health Organization at the center, really sitting together in an emergency committee to see what they can do, what we can do together to fight that new challenge, that new coronavirus. So this is the new world where we are living in, and we can only overcome all these problems when we work closely together, and we want to have India at our side. So let me recall and let me also quote Mahatma Gandhi, who wrote in his book, "India of my dreams, of an India where all communities shall live in perfect harmony." This is the ideal, this is guiding the Indian policy. It should also be some kind of guiding principles on the global level. So let me conclude that India is a strong nation, rooting in pluralistic values, enlightened by a very old culture, with many truths, and a very young generation that will, I'm very convinced about that, shape the nation to its best and will definitely contribute to a better world. So again, thank you for inviting me, and once again, a happy Republic Day, and I'm very much looking forward to now cutting the cake with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Steffen, for your very kind and special words and beautiful words for India.